Welcome, this is Sunny. I originally recorded the audio for the speed paint as I did it, but it made me take way too heckin' long. So what I'm doing is I'm just recording a quick introduction. I'm drawing my friend's cat Iris, who is a black cat with green eyes. She's laying on her back on what looks like really sketchy grass. And yeah, I make it look stylized, so here we go. And I start out by showing the image that I'm using for reference. I minimize it and put it in the corner. I'm doing the gestures to figure out how I want to position everything for the final drawing. She has her paws up in the air, so I'm trying to emphasize that. And just getting the main angles in there as I sketch it out. I resize it to figure out what position I want it to be in. I create another layer to figure out the main lines that I'm going to use for when I fill in the colors. And I'm sketching those out. I'm realizing as I do it, I want to make it look a little more cartoony, which for me does still look pretty realistic. I struggle a lot with doing cartoons actually, because you kind of have to make up something new that is still there and still looks good. Whereas when you draw something realistically, you just draw what's already there. So it's, to me personally, because I've been doing art for so long, I find it a lot easier to draw things more realistically. So I have the proportions the way I want. I'm doing the final outlines before I do the colors. So I'm outlining the features of the face. She has tiny little teeth showing, so I emphasize that. I'm doing the outline of the eyes, trying to get those done, the outline of the head, making some angles a little more exaggerated because I'm trying to make it look a little more cartoony. She looks a little squished, which is super cute. I'm getting the lines of her paws, all those fun things in. Mapping out where the main shadows are going to be, which are darker squiggles. Same with the highlights. She has a bit of a pink tummy because she's a black cat, but her skin's light pink. Putting some grass references for later. Now I'm gonna start doing the eyes to make them look a little realistic, because I like doing that before I start just to give me some motivation, which is always fun. Now I'm gonna do the colors. She does have a bit of a brown undertone, so I'm doing a dark brown color to start out with, filling that in. And then I'm adding the skin for the tummy, same with around the mouth and the ears. It's a little pink, but I'm going to lighten that later. It's just for reference. And then I'm working on the highlights, adding a bit of bluish tone, which contrasts with the brown. I'm working on filling in the highlights to give her some form, because she is a black cat, so a lot of the suggestion of form comes from how the highlights fall on her fur. So yeah, I'm getting those filled in, rendered. It's just a quick sketch, so I'm not being super accurate about it. And I like when I do this, the texture it makes too. The brush I use is the charcoal one. I don't really deviate much from that just because I like the overall look of it. And I usually keep it anywhere from doing outlines, the line will be about 25 to 50 pixels. For fills, it'll be anywhere from like 100 to 500 pixels, depending on the resolution. So now I'm just blocking in the shadows. I chose a blue for it, which I'm not sure if you can really tell in here. On the tablet I used to draw, you can really see the vibrance of the colors. But then when I transfer it to other screens, that's not always possible to see as well. But there is a bit of a blue tone to the shadows. Yeah, I'm trying to finish them, render them. I'm doing the little tummy furs, making them a little stylized so they're there, but not super exaggerated. Finishing the skin that's visible on her mouth. Same with the highlights around her paws and her tummy. Doing up her ears. Yeah, finishing final shadows that I might have missed before when I was trying to render, which is always a thing that happens. You go in when you're drawing something and you might miss a few steps, which is fine. You can always come back to them later. There's no rush. Even when you're doing speed paints, as long as it looks kind of like what it's supposed to be, that's good. That's what matters. Yeah, I put in the whiskers. Now I have her mostly done, so I'm gonna... Oh, and then the screen messed up, so that got me really frustrated. But then I quickly moved on to the background, which I did green. Gonna add some grass. I put a little bit of a brown gradient at the bottom to give it some more dimension. The grass is kind of like a neon green. I add a bit of yellow highlights to the top of the grass. Then I work on doing a shadow underneath her to make her look like she's lying on it. Adding some blue to match the blue of the collar. Some more lighting effects over top of everything that are yellow to give it more of a glow. Yeah, polishing up the eyes, the outlines. I sign it, which is important. Then I play with overall how it looks when it's finalized. There's some purple that I find that I add a little bit as well, same with some pink. I like to add some textured dots around it, just to, and here I'm checking to see if it looks all right when it's flipped. And then after that, I'm resizing it to fit the way that I like. Yeah, just adding some purple, I flip it back, and then, a bit more of yellow, and I show it off. Yeah, I think it looks all right. It was done within an hour, but because I was talking while I was doing it, it made it take a lot longer. So what I did instead was I just decided to speed up the clip and record a bit of audio describing the process. Still not great at it, but it's done, and I'll be doing more in the future. Thanks for watching.